conserve water, and conserve life. We are going to have long-time defenses against both low prices and drought. We are going to have a farm policy that will serve the national welfare. That is our hope for the future. There are two reasons why I want to end tonight by talking about reemployment. Tomorrow is Labor Day. The brave spirit with which so many millions of working people are winning their way out of depression deserves respect and admiration. It is like the courage of the farmers in the drought areas. That is my first reason. The second is that healthy employment conditions stand equally with healthy agricultural conditions as a buttress of national prosperity. Dependable employment at fair wages is just as important to the people in the towns and cities as good farm income is to agriculture. Our people must have the ability to buy the goods they manufacture and the crops they produce. Thus, city wages and farm buying power are the two strong legs that carry the nation forward. I am glad to say that reemployment in industry is proceeding fairly rapidly. Government spending was in large part responsible for keeping industry going and putting it in a position to make this reemployment possible. Government orders were the backlog of heavy industry. Government wages turned over and over again to make consumer purchasing power and to sustain every merchant in the community. Businessmen, with their businesses, small and large, had to be saved. Private enterprise is necessary to any nation which seeks to maintain the democratic form of government. In their case, just as certainly as in the case of drought-stricken farmers, government spending has saved. Government having spent wisely to save it, private industry begins to take workers off the rolls of the government relief program. Until this administration, we had no free employment service except in a few states and cities, and because there was no unified employment service, the worker, forced to move as industry moved, often traveled over the country, wandering after jobs that seemed always to travel just a little faster than he did. He was often victimized by fraudulent practices of employment clearinghouses, and the facts of employment opportunity were at the disposal neither of himself nor of the employer. In 1933, the United States Employment Service was created, a cooperative state and federal enterprise through which the federal government matches dollar for dollar the funds provided by the states for registering the occupations and the skills of workers and for actually finding jobs for these registered workers in private industry. The federal-state cooperation has been splendid. Already employment services are operating in 32 states, and the areas not covered by them are served by the federal government. We have developed a nationwide service with 700 district offices and 1,000 branch offices, thus providing facilities through which labor can learn of jobs available and employers can find workers. Last spring, in March, I expressed the hope that employers would realize their deep responsibility to take men off the relief rolls and give them jobs in private enterprise. Subsequently, I was told by many employers that they were not satisfied with the information available concerning the skill and the experience of the workers on the relief rolls. On August 25th, I allocated a small sum to the Employment Service for the purpose of getting better and more recent information in regard to those now actively at work on WPA projects, information as to their skills and their previous occupations, and to keep the records of such men and women up to date for maximum service in making them available to industry. Tonight, I am announcing the allocation of $2.5 million more to enable the Employment Service to make an even more intensive search than it has yet been equipped to make to find opportunities in private employment for workers registered with it. And so tonight I urge the workers to cooperate with and take full advantage of this intensification of the work of the Employment Service. This does not mean that there will be any lessening of our efforts under our WPA and PWA and other work relief programs until all workers have decent jobs in private employment at decent wages. We do not surrender our responsibility to the unemployed. We have had ample proof that it is the will of the American people that those who represent them in national, state, and local government should continue as long as necessary to discharge that responsibility. But it does mean that the government wants to use every resource to get private work for those now employed on government work, and thus to curtail to a minimum the government expenditures for direct employment. And tonight I ask employers, large and small, throughout the nation, to use the help of the state and federal employment service whenever in the general pickup of business they require more workers. Tomorrow is Labor Day. Labor Day in this country has never been a class holiday. It has always been a national holiday. It has never had more significance as a national holiday than it has now. In other countries, the relationship of employer and employee has been more or less accepted as a class relationship, not readily to be broken through. In this country, we insist as an essential of the American way of life that the employer-employee